Hi, welcome to our Market of the Moment update for the week of September 27th of 2021. Welcome, Chris Madrid from Guaranteed Rate, coming to us from Mexico today. Thanks for taking some time off.
Yeah, man, good to be here.
Always
Thanks for having me.
when a business partner makes the president's trip. So congrats on obviously a great year. So we also have Ryan Shafer with us today, coming to us from the Tarrant-County, West DFW area. Thanks for coming on, Ryan.
Yep, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So we're going to get started today. I'm, of course, Michael, the Oldham team here in Frisco. I'm going to cover this DFW market for the week of September 27th. Going to start off, Chris Madrid's going to hit us with our current mortgage rates. Chris, tell us what the rates are doing, kind of how they're trending and those things.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. We had talked in previous calls that, obviously we knew there was going to be kind of a little bit of an uptick and then downtick, but essentially the Fed had announced last week that they were going to begin tapering of mortgage-backed securities. So, it was almost instantaneous that we saw an uptick in rates. And what that means, is we went from, probably the best execution, rate in the 2.7 to 2.9 range, Now we're essentially up 2.8 to like 3.1. So we're now, for like 30-year fixed products, we're up over 3%. Now, again, it could be, a short-term short-term thing in the market. We may see, rates come back down, which, I would imagine through the winter, we'll see, kind of some ups and we'll see some downs. It's one of those things where you can't have, from an economic standpoint, you can't have high interest rates and have high home prices. It just doesn't work out so well. So I feel like they ticked up a little bit. This happened last year, so we'll see a little bit of a downtick. So it'll be some up and downs throughout the fourth quarter. So from a trend standpoint, it's one of those things where if you're looking to buy, sell, invest in real estate, obviously you need to be aware of what's going on in the market and obviously jump and capitalize on the low interest rates that are still out there. So yeah, whether you're in 2.8 or 3.1, it's still an amazing rate. Where we start to see impacts is, have customers that they're barely qualifying, at the 2.8 rate at a specific purchase price. Well, once rates start to kick up, they now qualify for a little bit less, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But yeah, the overall trend is right now rates are on an upward trend, So before we were probably in, kind of a flat overall trend. We're now seeing an upward trend.
So that's definitely some good, valuable information. And it's just a very good example of how we come to you about every 7 days and information changes daily, definitely on a 7-day trend. So some of the slides I'm going to show you today are basically kind of based a little on that 2.7. So these slides are probably going to fit in kind of nice with actually what the rates did over the last week. So we're going to take just a quick time. Last week, we talked a little bit about what it costs if you wait and interest rates are going up and prices are appreciating. And we talked a little bit about how that gap can affect you. So today I actually have some visuals we wanted to go through just to show you at different price points what the cost of waiting to buy could lead to. And like I said, these numbers are pretty accurate with what the interest rate is right now or was last week versus today.
Absolutely.
So this first slide we look at is added 300,000 rates. Chris, you want to talk a little bit about this one?
Yeah. So this is a perfect example where, from a monthly standpoint, you're probably saying, well, going from 2.7 to 3 doesn't cost me a whole lot more per month. And you're absolutely right. It's not that much more. $70 to me is a lot, but $10 or $15 isn't that much more. 70 is still a decent amount. Now over the course of of a 30-year term, right? I mean, that's $72 a month in that difference in the different interest rate. I mean, that just costs you $25,000, right, over the life of the loan, and that's a ton of money. So what I was getting to earlier is, let's say that you were barely qualifying for a home at 300,000 at a 2.7 interest rate. What will absolutely impact you, what we've have seen, is you no longer qualify for 300,000 at a 3% rate, because that $70 increase in monthly payment has now impacted your ability to qualify, your debt to income ratio. So now that that $300,000 home that you were looking at just dropped down to 285, I think is probably that amount there for $70. So again, you're no longer looking at $300,000 homes, you're looking at $285,000 homes.
And in our market, that's the difference in school districts.
Absolutely.
Difference in maybe another hour commute to work. Lots of things can change on that. So
right.
Very important to look at. What stands out to me is we talked last Thursday, and the same $300,000 house costs you $5,700 more 7 days later, just based on that interest rate going up. So we're going to just click through. I've got some different price points. I think we obviously get the picture. As we go up, obviously it's going to cost you more.
Right. And that's I think that's the biggest thing those are the, like, for me, those are the big takeaways, right? Is the more you're looking to purchase and finance, then absolutely that increase in rates is now costing you significantly more.
Yeah, so here we're looking at a $500,000 home and that 0.3 increase. So that home's increased nearly 10,000 from last week, costing you 120 more per month and nearly 45,000 over the course of that loan. And now we're actually getting into some of the price points we can actually buy homes in our area. The 500, this next slide is 800. And you can see 800 is going to cost you about 70,000 more over the life of that loan, almost $200 more per month, and nearly has gone up a little over 15,000 in a week, the difference in your buying and purchasing power. So, and then the last one's $1 million, and I'll let Chris just follow up with any thoughts he has on the rest of this topic, and then we'll move on.
Well, and there's a little noise in the background, so I'll ramble for a second until that dies out. But I mean, again, even the last slide, right, at 200, pushing $200 a month, this is now over $200 a month, where where we're starting to see a significant difference in monthly payment, along with interest and cost over the life of the loan, right? $86,000, almost $90,000 difference in what you're paying over the life of the loan. Now, I think you're showing, Mike, you're just showing the difference, the monthly payment times 12 times 30, right? I mean, essentially that's what you're showing here. We're not even, it's probably double or close to double if we showed the interest cost, right? Because this is just that monthly, the principal and interest difference. The interest portion would probably be a good amount over this as well, just because, again, that 2.7 to 3 over a 30-year term is a significant amount in interest costs. So
yeah, so we just wanted to bring you again what the cost of waiting. It's very important in this market with the price appreciations and then interest rates ticking up. It's just important that you keep an eye on your purchasing power, because in our area, it makes so much difference in your school district that your children are going to attend, maybe your commute, lots of different things to consider. So important to stay on top of that. Going to move on to our real estate trends for the last 7 days. They've stayed roughly pretty close to the same in the 4 counties I'm going to cover. Once again, in Collin County, we're still at nearly 4% over list price. I'm going to show you some comps I ran over the weekend, basically to confirm that. It was a McKinney property. west over to Denton County, parts of Frisco, Little Elm. We're looking at just a little over 3% of list price, also the same. No, my internet connection cannot be unstable. Have 6 days on market in Denton County, which is the same, and a 1 month supply. And as the last month and a half we've been doing this, Collin, Denton County track very, very closely. Going down south to Dallas County, barely just over list is what homes are bringing there. 8 days on market, and supply is a little bit better, 1.4 months versus a 1 month supply. And then when we go up north to Grayson County, you're looking at finally a county where you can maybe get a deal. We're at 0.2% under list, which is another 0.1%, another tenth from last week. 9 days on the market and a 1.8 month supply. So getting a little better in Grayson County, but market's still very tight. Still seeing multiple offers in most of these areas from the information I've gathered. So gonna send it over to Ryan. Gonna pull up Tarrant and Parker County, let him talk a little bit about what he's seeing in those markets. Go ahead, Ryan.
Sure. Yeah, this is relatively the same as what we were witnessing last week as well. On that Parker County, once again, there in that 4 month supply, there is some, excuse me, rural properties listed in that. When I ran it on just purely residential, we're looking closer to a 3 month supply as opposed to a 4. And then of course that 14 days on the market is ticking down by 3-4 days or so. So we're still in multiples out here as well. Kind of the same thing going on. It's leveled out some, likely because of school and all that, pretty typical, but still very competitive. So decent affordability out here still. And then as I mentioned last week, the new home sales are just churning and burning. Stay right there, baby. Got a kid coming into the window. But at any rate, starting to see the builders really give some more incentives back to buyers. So that's still a good route, especially with what we can see in the increases. If we can carefully look at a builder contract and get locked into a price and know that that's going to be the deal from start to finish, then that's still could be a very good route, especially with the appreciation that's going to occur and interest rates rising over the next year or so.
Yeah, definitely had that conversation with clients this weekend myself about the opportunity of looking at new construction, getting yourself under contract on a set price. You got to make sure you got the right agent to negotiate these things, because there are contracts now that they can raise the price on you prior to closing. They've been doing that to cover their margins, but you get the right agent helping you through this process. You get a contract with the price set in stone. By the time that home is done, you most likely are going to have a good piece of equity in it. I know we've had several that had 70,000 to 80,000 of equity at closing after that 8 month build period. So if you can get with the right agent, which I would say Ryan, myself, Amy, and the right lender like Chris that can have you pre-approved and ready to roll when you walk through the door of that new build, it is definitely a route to go. You can get the equity out of your home now, get some temporary housing, 6 to 8 months, probably move in with 30, 40, 50,000 equity, of course, depending on your price points. So definitely an option. Everybody says, where am I going to go? We have plans for you. So you just got to have a plan. There is a place to go. Ryan, you got anything else you want to add before we move on?
No, I think that's about it for me today.
I appreciate you, bud.
Yeah, thanks.
So just wanted to go over some comps I ran this last weekend. These are some, an example of basically, when I run comps to list your home, this is basically what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the competition, which is this active up here. I'm looking at what has sold. And then, of course, I'm looking at what's pending. But in this market, we don't know if this 350 is pending at 380 or at 355. So those are a little tough. But if you can see here, for my client, we're working with 1,769 square feet. So I'm basically looking at what's currently on the market, what we would be competing against, what they are asking per square foot. I'm also viewing this home and, comparing it to, finish outs that we are looking at. My client's property is in tip-top shape, so I would be looking most likely down here somewhere in this maximum. And if I look down here at maximums, they're nowhere near what this one's on the market at. So that tells me something. Anyway, with this client, I'm breaking it out for them. I'm looking at average price sold was 191.57. So at their square footage, we'd be on the market at 338. I think their home is better than average. At the max, we would be looking at 202.49. So we'd be listing at a 358 price based on their square foot. Something I do, and I don't know if everyone would always agree with it, but I take this max and average, and I average these two to come up with the price per square foot. It's generally close to the median, generally not it, but that also gives me a price. So on this particular property, I am trying to stay under that 350 price range. I've come over here and looked at what our sales price to list price has been, and it tells me that our average is 109.7. We've had a max of 120.63 and a median of 106.88. So I've gone over here and figured out if we were to list at 350 and we were to get these different percentages over what I feel this home would bring on the open market. So in my personal opinion, this home is going to land somewhere in between these two. But this was, I just wanted to pull this up because it is showing, this is Collin County, this is McKinney. It's a 90 days, but basically you can see that it matches up with the stats that we were showing you earlier with our sales price to list price, days on market, and those types of things. So I just wanted to go over that real quick today. So as we always say, there's a ton of real estate news out there floating around. Today might have been a very good example, as I pulled up some slides and they were basically numbers from last week with our 2.7 interest rate. Now it's ticked up, as Chris has said. Chris, Ryan, anything to add before we close her out today?
I wish I was in Mexico.
Oh, man.
Yeah, don't we all wish we were in Mexico, right?
I'll be headed to the beach here in a second. So.
All right. Well, we appreciate you taking your toes out of the sand and joining
for a few minutes.
Absolutely. Just literally got there yesterday, so enjoy the rest. How long are you there, Chris?
We're flying back Sunday.
All right. Well, enjoy the rest of the weekend. Appreciate you getting on. If you need refi mortgage info, you can reach out to Chris at 214-734-1531. Get in touch with Amy or I at 469-369-0873. You got interest in that Tarrant County area, reach out to me. I'll get you in touch with Ryan. And we're all working together to try to make it a better experience. So appreciate you joining us. We'll talk to you fellas later.
Take care.
We'll see you. Thanks for having us. Later.